What happened with Auburn football's recruits in week 2 of high school football? Now, technically, I know it's not week 2 for some people. It may not be even your week 1 for a few of you out there. But for our purposes, as we did in our last video, we're calling this week 2. And in this video, we're going to be discussing how Auburn football's current recruits did in this past weekend of their performances across high school football, with one new addition with a brand new commitment to talk about as well. As always, a reminder to smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss other content just like this. Just like we did in the last video, this is all a little bit of a guesswork because the high school statisticians, or whatever you want to call them, are not all that thorough and great. Sometimes the reporting is there sometimes, and then other times it's not, and sometimes it's misconstrued. So this is my conglomeration of the best information stats that I can find for you for how the 8, yes I said 8 recruits did for the Auburn Tigers. Now, DeQuavius Story, I believe I said his name correctly. I'm probably never going to be able to pronounce that one. That's just my poorness of being able to enunciate and talk. He's added to these lists that we're going to be discussing as the 8th commit for the Auburn Tigers. We did a video about him, breaking down what it means for his commitment for the Auburn Tigers. Go check that out if you haven't. So there's a lot of people that we want to talk about here, but I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot of hardcore stats for some of these games. Now, there are some key figures that I do want to start off with talking about right now, but I do want to start off with Sorey because he's the brand new guy and everybody is really amped to talk about him. So his high school, Chipley High School, took on the Rutherford Rams, who they defeated by the score of 41-0. Let that sink in, 41-0. It's going to be a common thread for most of the high school games for the Auburn commits is that they all won, I do believe, if I have that correct. There were at least 2 touchdowns for Sorey, including a 48-yard catch in the flats taken to the house at one point. This also included a few jet sweeps as well that you can find a couple of video footage out there if you really want to see it. And what it shows to me is this guy not only can catch, but he has really good speed that he can be utilized. Now, I know when I say jet sweep, that makes some of you Auburn fans cringe. Don't worry, it's just used for demonstration purposes on this end to share with you that he's got speed. Now let's talk about Jeremiah Cobb, who we talked a lot about last week and how incredible his first performance was. Well, he wasn't to be outdone because his second performance was just as good. His team, Montgomery Catholic, took down Alabama Christian and they didn't waste any time, 61-7. Now let's talk about Cobb and how he did. 228 yards in 13 carries. 3 touchdowns. And I want to put this into perspective for you. 55-yard run, 39-yard run, and a 5-yard run. All 3 of those were for a touchdown. This also included 1 catch that he had for a touchdown as well. Again, he continues to show you that not only is he a versatile back, this guy may be making a case for Alabama High School Football Player of the Year, Mr. Football, for those of you that know what that's called. Now I want to talk about Braden Joyner, the local guy from Auburn High School who took on Enterprise. Now they won 31-21, but apparently it was a little bit scary there at one point. And so when we talk about offensive linemen, obviously it's hard to talk about them in terms of stats unless they play a different position as well. But for our purposes, he's coming in as an offensive line recruit. So we're going to try to put in perspective what he helped provide for the Auburn High School team. So to put that into perspective, they dominated in the time of possession in the 4th quarter, which is what really solidified their win. As I said, they got out real early, had 3 rushing touchdowns, which he helped contribute, and then 1 late to run that clock down and really secure that win and made it look a lot more like they had this thing under control. But it shows you how they were able to establish a run and assert their dominance and move forward to get that win, even against an Enterprise team that was surging at the end. Let's talk about Carmelo English, another dominating performance from his Central Phoenix City school, playing Smith Station, 38-0. Just utter dominance across the state from a lot of these guys, especially in the state of Alabama. Let's talk about his performance. From what we can tell, the main stats that I saw from him were 4 catches for 54 yards in the first half. That's all I was able to gather. But if you calculate all that up, that's about 13.5 yard average catch that he has there, which is really, really good, even for just the first half. Now, unfortunately, for the last 4 commits, there's not a lot of information out there. So I'm just going to list off the different scores for you, and you can kind of know at least how their team is doing, and maybe kind of do some guesswork on how the rest of these athletes might be doing in terms of Auburn commits. You got J.C. Hart, who plays for Lochapoka. They won and beat Beulah 20-6. Wilkie Denard from John Carroll High. They beat Benjamin 24-21, the closest one of this week. Ashley Williams from Zachary High beat Lafayette Christian 24-0. And then Terrence Love from Langston Hughes Highs beat McNamara 47-21. So obviously, overall, a really dominating performance team-wise for all of the Auburn commits, every one of them getting a win. Jeremiah Cobb sticks out yet again, but also I would say the brand new committed well. DeQuavius Sorey, I think he obviously had a great debut right after he committed to the Auburn Tigers. So I'm just going to give him my player of the week or whatever award I'm giving out these days for these particular videos, just because had a great day performance and committing to the Auburn Tigers. Now I want to know from you, what do you think about the performance for week 2 in high school football for all of Auburn football's commits? Who stuck out to you? And if there's some information you can share about some of the athletes that we didn't have a lot on, please do share it down in the comments section below. As always, I want to remind you to smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything, uploads, live stream, lots of content this football season for you to consume. There's ways that you can help support our content listed in the description for these videos, such as joining the Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network, or just simply hitting that join button down below here on YouTube so you don't miss any opportunities to help support and keep the lights going on here at E2C Network. Thank you for tuning into the E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. War Eagle.